Hello everyone. In this class, we will study the chapter Wings of Fire by Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. The author, popularly known as the Missile Man of India, Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, 1931 to 2015. Also served as the president of our nation from 2002 to 2007. He was the mastermind behind the 5 missiles Prithvi, Trisul, Akash, Nag, and Agni. He was also scientific advisor and science administrator at the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) and Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO). His other celebrated works are India 2020, A Vision for the New Millennium, 1998, Ignited Minds, Unleashing the Power Within India in 2002, and Mission India in 2005, You Are Born to Blossom, Take My Journey Beyond in 2008, and A Manifesto for Change, a sequel to India 2020 in 2014. Eleventh President of India. 2002 to 2007. He was the mastermind behind the 5 missiles Prithvi, Trisul, Akash, Nag, and Agni. And he was also scientific advisor and science administrator at the DRDO and Indian Space Research Organization and ISRO. Nineteen 31 to 27th July 2015. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. Once I settled down at the Squad High School, Ramanathapuram, the enthusiastic 15-year-old within me re-emerged. My teacher, Yadurai Solomon, was an ideal guide for an eager young mind that was yet uncertain of the possibilities and alternatives that lay before it. He made his students feel very comfortable in class with his warm and open-minded attitude. He used to say that a good student could learn more from a bad teacher than a poor student from even a skilled teacher. मतलब एक अच्छा स्टूडेंट बुरा टीचर से भी बहुत कुछ सीख सकता है. उसका कंपैरिजन में बुरा स्टूडेंट जो अच्छा टीचर से नहीं सीख सकता है. During my stay at Ramanathapuram, my relationship with him grew beyond that of teacher and pupil. In his company, I learned that one could exercise enormous influence over the events of one's own life. Yadure Solomon used to say, to succeed in life and achieve result, you must understand and master 3 mighty forces. Desire, belief and expectation. Belief and expectations. Desire, Belief and Expectations by Yadurai Solomon. Yadurai Solomon, who later became a reverend, taught me that before anything I wanted could happen, I had to desire it intensely and be absolutely certain it would happen. To take an example from my own life, I had been fascinated by the mysteries of the sky and the flight of birds from early childhood. I used to watch cranes and seagulls soar into flight and longed to fly. Simple provincial boy thought I was convinced that one day I too would soar up into the skies. Indeed, I was the first child from Rameshwaram to fly. From Rameshwaram to fly. And then Yadurai Solomon was a great teacher because he instilled in all the children a sense of their own worth. Solomon raised my self esteem to a high point and convinced me, the son of parents who had not had the benefits of education, that I too could aspire to become whatever I wished. With faith, with faith, you can change your destiny, he would say. With faith, you can change your destiny. By Yadurai Solomon. One day, when I was in the fourth form, my mathematics teacher, Ramakrishna Iyer, was teaching another class. Inadvertently, wandered into that classroom, and in the manner of an old-fashioned despot, he wandered into that classroom and in the manner of despot, wandered into the classroom and in despot. Ramakrishna Iyer caught me by the neck and caned me in front of the whole class. Many months later, when I scored full marks in mathematics, he narrated the incident to the entire school at morning assembly. Whomsoever I came becomes a great man. Take my word, this boy is going to bring glory to his school and to his teachers. His praise quite made up for the earlier for the earlier humiliation. By the time I completed my education as a squad, his mathematics teacher was maths teacher Rama Krishna Iyer. He told that this boy is going to glory to his school and to his teachers. His praises quite made up for the early year humiliation. And by the time he completed his education at Squads, and I, I was a self-confident boy determined to succeed. That his decision to go in for further education was taken without a second thought. To us, in those days, the awareness of the possibilities for professional education did not exist. Higher education simply meant going to college. The nearest college was at Tiruchirappalli, spelled Tiruchupoli those days, and called Trichy for short. Trichy. In 1950, in 1950, I arrived at St. Joseph College, Trichy, to study for the intermediate examination. 1950 was he arrived at St. Joseph College to study for the intermediate examination. I was not a bright student in terms of examination grades, but thanks to my two buddies back in Rameshwaram, I had acquired a practical bent of mind. Whenever I returned to Rameswaram from squads, my elder brother Mustafa Kamal, who ran a provision store on the railway station road, would call me in to give him a little help and then vanish for hours together, leaving the shop in my charge. I sold oil, onions, rice, and everything else. The fastest moving items I found were cigarettes and bidis. Cigarettes and bidis. I used to wonder what made poor people smoke away their hard-earned money. When spared by Mustafa, I would be put in charge of his kiosks by my younger brother, Kasim Muhammad. There, I sold novelties made of seashells. At St. Joseph, I was lucky to find a teacher like the Rev. Father T.N. Sequeria. He taught us English and was also our hostel warden. We were about 100 boys living in the three-storied hostel building. Rev. Father used to visit each boy every night with a Bible in his hand. His energy and patience was amazing. He was very considerate person who took care of even the most minute requirements of his students. On Deepavali, on his instructions, the brother in charge of the hostel and the mass volunteers would reach each room and distribute good gingerly oil for the ritual bath. I stayed on the St. Joseph campus for hours, for years, and shared my room with two others. One was an Orthodox Iyengar from Sri Rangam, and the other was other Syrian Christian from Kerala. The three of us had a wonderful time together. When I was made secretary of the vegetarian mess during my third year in the hostel, we invited the rector, Rev. Father Kalathil, over for lunch one Sunday. Our menu included the choicest preparation from our diverse backgrounds. The result was rather unexpected, but Reverend Father was lavish in his praise of our efforts. We enjoyed every moment with Reverend Father Kalathil, who participated in our unsophisticated conversation with childlike enthusiasm. It was a memorable event for us all. My teacher at St. Joseph were the true followers of Kanchi Paramacharya, who evoked people to enjoy the action of giving. The vivid memory of our mathematics teacher, Professor Thatri Yanagar and Professor Suryana Rayana Sastri walking together on the campus inspires me to this day. When I was in the final year at St. Joseph, I acquired a taste for English literature. I began to read the great classics, Tolstoy, Scott, and Hardy being special favorites, despite their exotic settings, and then I moved on to some works in philosophy. It was around this time that I developed a great interest in the physics. The lessons on subatomic atomic physics at St. Joseph by my physics teacher, Professor Sina Dural and Professor Krishna Murthy, introduced me to the concept of the half-life period and matters related to the radioactive decay of substances. Siva Subramania Iyer, my science teacher at Rameswaram, had never taught me that most subatomic particles are unstable and that they disintegrate after a certain time into other particles. All this I was learning for the first time, but when he taught me to strive with diligence, because decay is inherent in all compounded things, was he not talking of the same thing? I wonder why some people tend to see science as something which takes man away from God. As I look at it, The path of science can always wind through the heart. For me, science has always been the path to spiritual enrichment and self realization. Even the rational thought metrics of science have been home to fairy tales. I am an avid reader of books on cosmology and enjoy reading about celestial bodies. My friends will asking me questions related to space flights, sometimes slip into astrology. Quite honestly, I have never really understood the reason behind the great importance attached by people to the faraway planets in our solar system. As an art, I have nothing against astrology, but if it seeks acceptance under the guise of science, I reject it. I do not know how these myths evolved about planets, star constellations, and even satellites, that they can exercise power on human beings. The highly complicated calculations manipulated around the precise movements of celestial bodies to derive highly subjective conclusions appear illogical to me. As I see it, the Earth is the most powerful and energetic planet, as John Milton puts it so beautifully in Paradise Lost Book 8. What if the Sun be center to the world and other stars? The planet Earth so steadfast, though seem it insensibly three different motions move. Whenever you go on this planet, there is a movement of life. Even apparently inanimate things like rocks, metal, timber, clay are full of intrinsic movement, with electrons dancing around each nucleus. This motion originates in their response to the confinement imposed on them by the nucleus by means of electroforces. We try to hold them as close as possible. Electrons, just like an individual with a certain amount of energy, detest confinement. The tighter the electrons are held by the nucleus, the higher the orbital velocity will be. In fact, the confinement of electrons in an atom results in enormous velocities of about 1000 km per second. These high velocities make the atom appear a rigid sphere, just as a fast moving fan appears like a disk. It is very difficult to compress atoms more strongly, thus giving matter its familiar solid aspect. Everything solid thus contains much empty space within, and everything stationary contains great movement within. It is as though the great dance of Shiva is being performed on earth during every moment of our existence. When I joined the BSc degree course at St. Joseph's, I was unaware of any other option for higher education, nor did I have any information about career opportunities available to a student of science. Only after obtaining a BSc did I realize that physics was not my subject. I had to go into engineering to realize my dreams. I could have joined the engineering course long ago, right after finishing my intermediate course. Better late than ever. I told myself as I made the detour applying for admission into the Madras Institute of Technology (MIT), regarded as the crown jewel of technical education in South India. At that time, I managed to be on the list of selected candidates, but but admission to this prestigious institution was an expensive affair. Around 1,000 rupees was required, and my father could not spare that much money. At that time, my sister Johara stood behind me, mortgaging her gold bangles and chain. I was deeply touched by her determination to see me educated and by her faith in my abilities. I vowed to release her bangles from mortgage with my own earnings. The only way before me to earn money at that point of time was to study hard and get a scholarship. I went ahead at full steam. What fascinated me most at MIT was the sight of two reconnaissance aircraft displayed there for the demonstration of various subsystems of flying machines. I felt a strange attraction towards them and would sit near them long after other students had gone back to the hostel, admiring man's will to fly free in the sky like a bird. After completing my first year, when I had to opt for a specific branch, I almost spontaneously chose aeronautical engineering. The goal was very clear in my mind. Now I was going to fly aircraft. I was convinced of this despite being aware of my lack of assertiveness, which probably come about because of my humble background. Around this time, I made special efforts to try and communicate with different kinds of people. There were setbacks, disappointments, and distractions, but my father's inspiring words anchored me in those periods of nebulous drift. He know, he who knows other is learned, but the wise one is the one who knows himself. Learning without wisdom is of no use. In the course of my education at MIT, three teachers shaped my thinking. Their combined contributions formed the foundation on which I later built my professional career. These three teachers were Professor Sponder, Professor K.A.V. Pandalia, and Professor Nara Singha Rao. Each one of them had very distinct personalities, but this shared a common impulse, the capacity to feed their students intellectual hunger by sheer brilliance and untiring zeal. Professor Sponder taught me technical aerodynamics. Sponder taught him, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, technical aerodynamics. Technical aerodynamics. He was an Austrian with rich practical experience in aeronautical engineering during the Second World War. During the Second World War, he had been captured by the Nazis and imprisoned in a concentration camp. During Second World War, he was captured. He was captured. He was captured by the Nazis and imprisoned in a concentration camp. Understandably, he had developed a very strong dislike for Germans. Incidentally, the aeronautical department was headed by a German professor, Walter Repentin. Another well-known professor, Dr. Kurt Tank, was a distinguished aeronautical engineer who had designed the German Focke Wolf FW Focke-Wulf FW 190 single-seater fighter plane, an outstanding combat aircraft of the Second World War. Dr. Tank later joined the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in Bangalore and was responsible for the design of India's first jet fighter, the HF-24 Marut. 24. Notwithstanding these irritants, Professor Sponder preserved his individuality and maintained high professional standards. He was always calm, energetic, and in total control of himself. He kept abreast of the latest technologies and expected his students to do the same. I consulted him before opting for aeronautical engineering. He told me that one should never worry about one's future prospects. Instead, it was more important to lay sound foundations, to have sufficient enthusiasm and an accompanying passion for one's chosen field of study. The trouble with Indians, Professor Sponder used to observe, was not that they lacked educational opportunities or industrial infrastructure. The trouble was in their failure to discriminate between disciplines and to rationalize their choices. Why aeronautics? Why not electrical engineering? Why not mechanical engineering? I myself would like to tell all novitiate engineering students that when they choose their specialization, the essential point to consider is whether the choice articulate their inner feelings and aspirations. Professor K.A.V. Pandalia told taught me aerostructure design and analysis. He was a cheerful, friendly, and enthusiastic teacher who brought a fresh approach to every year teaching course. It was Professor Pandalia who opened up the secrets of structural engineering to us. Even today, I believe that everyone who has been taught by Professor Pandalia would agree that he was a man of great intellectual integrity and scholarship. But with no trace of arrogance, his students were free to disagree with him on several points in the classroom. Professor Narasingha Rao was a mathematician who taught us theoretical aerodynamics. Professor Narasingha Rao was a mathematician who taught him taught them theoretical engineering, theoretical aerodynamics, aerodynamics, theoretical aerodynamics. I still remember his method of teaching fluid dynamics. After attending his class, I began to prefer mathematical physics to any other subject. Often I have been told I carry a surgical knife to aeronautical design review. If it had not been for Professor Rao's kind and persistent advice on picking up proofs to equations of aerodynamic flow, I would not have acquired this metaphorical tool. Aeronautics is a fascinating subject, containing within it the promise of freedom. The great difference between freedom and escape, between motion and movement, between slide and flow, are the secrets of the science. My teachers revealed these truths to me through their meticulous teaching. They created within me an excitement about aeronautics. Their intellectual fervor, clarity of thought, and passion for perfection helped me to launch into a serious study of fluid dynamics, modes of compressible medium motion, development of shock waves, and shock induced flow separations at increasingly speeds, shock stall, and shock wave drag. Slowly, a great amalgamation of amalgamation of information took place in my mind. The structural features of aeroplanes began to gain new meanings. Biplanes, monoplanes, tailless planes, canard configured planes, delta wing planes, all these began to assume increasing significance for me. The three teachers, all of them authorities in their different fields, helped me to mold a composite knowledge. My third and last year at MIT was a year of transition and was to have a great impact on my later life. In those days, a new climate of political enlightenment and industrial effort was sweeping across the country. I had to test my belief in God and see if it could fit into the matrix of scientific thinking. The accepted view was that a belief in scientific methods was the only valid approach to knowledge. If so, I wondered, was matter alone the ultimate reality and were spiritual phenomena but a manifestation of matter? Were all ethical values relative and was sensory perception? The only source of knowledge was knowledge and truth. I wondered about these issues, attempting to sort out the vexing question of scientific temper and my own spiritual interests. The value system in which I had been nurtured was profoundly religious. I had been taught that true reality lay beyond the material world in the spiritual realm, and that knowledge could be obtained only through inner experience. The given explanation is an extract from Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire. It's a small an extract of Wings of Fire in 1999. It was documented by Arun Tiwari, who worked with Dr. Kalam in the Defense Research and Development Laboratory (DRDL). This text is an autobiographical account of Kalam's early life in his native place. From very humble beginnings, he rose to great heights by sheer determination and hard work. The role of his family, friends, teachers, and mentors is discussed in the given extract. Now we will solve some objective questions, MCQ. To succeed in life and achieve results, you must understand and master three mighty forces: desire, belief, expectation. These are the words of no, not A.P.J. Kalam, Professor Kim. Professor Narasimha Rao was a mathematical teacher for aerodynamics. Yadurai Solomon. Desire, belief, and expectation. Desire, belief, and expectation by Yadurai Solomon. Yadurai Solomon. Yadurai Solomon was Kalam's teacher and mentor during his school days in Ramanathapuram. He taught Kalam that with these three forces one can change their destiny. In 1950, he arrived. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. I arrived at St. Joseph College, Trichy, to study for the intermediate examination. 1950. After completing the schooling at Swaraj High School, Kalam moved to Chapali, Trichy in 1950 to pursue his higher studies. I wonder why some people tend to see science as something which takes men away from God. What does this statement show? Kalam was non-believer of God. Science is greater than God. God cannot control science. Kalam believed in God. Kalam believed in God. Context: Dr. Kalam was a deeply spiritual man who saw science as path to understanding the ultimate truth of God, rather than something that contradicts faith. During the second year in MIT, Madras Institute of Technology, Kalam chose aeronautical engineering spontaneously, unwillingly, in a dilemma, as his teacher recommended, spontaneously, or potentially, as his teacher recommends. In Wings of Fire, he describes being fascinated by flight since childhood, with his choice was driven by deep-seated passion. He often sought the guidance of his mentors. However, in most objective tests for this chapter, spontaneously is the common answer used to describe his natural pull towards the subject. Spontaneously is the correct answer. Professor Narasimha Rao was a mathematician who taught theoretical aerodynamics. Yes, theoretical aerodynamics. Narasimha Rao was a mathematician who taught theoretical aerodynamics. Theoretical aerodynamics. At MIT, Madras Institute of Technology, Professor Narasimha Rao was one of the three teachers who saved Kalam's career, especially teaching him the mathematical foundation of aerodynamics. Provide the biography of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. Abul Pakir Zainul Abdin. Abul Pakir Zainulabdin. Zainulabdin Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam, also known as A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, was born on October 15th October in 1931 in in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu. He died on July 27th July 2015 due to cardiac arrest. He was a distinguished Indian scientist and politician who led India on as its 11th president. 11th president 2002 to 2007. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was born in a Muslim Tamil family. His mother Asiamma was a homemaker, while his father Zainulabdin was an imam at a nearby mosque and a boat owner. Kalam finished his education at Ramnathpuram Squash Higher Secondary School. He came from a poor home, yet he was an excellent student who attended the Madras Institute of Technology (MIT) to study aerospace engineering. He earned a degree in aeronautical engineering in 1958 at the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) and subsequently the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO). Kalam began his professional career as a scientist. DRDO and ISRO. Defense Research Development Organization and Indian Space Research Organization. Began his professional career as a scientist. He significantly aided India's missile and space projects, the construction of India's first domestic satellite launch vehicle. Satellite Launch Vehicle 3. Domestic Satellite Launch Vehicle 3 (SLV-3), which was instrumental in the successful launch of the Rohini satellite into the orbit. Rohini satellite into orbit was led by Kalam. In addition, he oversaw the development of the Agni and Prithvi ballistic missile. Agni and Prithvi. Agni and Prithvi. Ballistic missile. Prithvi missile. Missile. Ballistic missiles, Agni and Prithvi ballistic missiles. From 1992 to 1999, Kalam was the secretary of the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) and the Prime Minister's chief scientific advisor. In 1998, he had a significant role in promoting nuclear experiments in Pokhara, Rajasthan. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam became India's 11th president in 2002, taking K.R. Narayana's place, known as the People's President. He spent his time in office advocating for youth empowerment, scientific research and education. Following his term in 2007, Kalam remained committed to advancing science and education. His vision of an independent and thriving India inspired millions of people, and he gave several lectures and produced multiple books. Throughout his career, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam was bestowed with a plethora of accolades, including the 1997 Bharat Ratna. In 1997, he received Bharat Ratna. 1997 Bharat Ratna. India's highest civilian award. Additionally, he received honorary doctorate from other universities worldwide. On July 27, 2000, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam passed away at the Indian Institute of Management, Shillong, while giving a lecture. His contributions to scientific advancement, societal progress, and motivational leadership are his lasting legacies. Legacies. Lasting legacies. Legacies. Legacy. Legacies or legacy. In addition to his contributions to India's space and military industries, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam is recognized for his vision of a successful and inclusive India that is fueled by ethical leadership, scientific inquiry, and education. Generations of Indians and people around them are still inspired by his life and efforts. Provide a summary of Wings of Fire by Dr. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam autobiography Wings of Fire details his life from his early years in Rameshwaram. Wings of Fire details his life from early years in Rameswaram to his time serving as India's 11th president. India's 11th president. The early years of Kalam's life at Rameswaram, where he was born into a lowly Tamil Muslim household. One are covered in the autobiography. Kalam's parents instilled strong ideals of honesty, hard labor, and faith in him despite their financial struggles. Kalam talks about his passion for aviation and his desire to become a pilot. Nonetheless, he chose to pursue a career in aeronautical engineering because of his family's financial limitations. After achieving academic success, he joined the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) and then Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO). The story describes Kalam's contribution to India's space exploration and missile development initiatives, particularly his crucial work on the country's first satellite launch vehicles (SLV). SLV-3 satellite launch vehicle, DRDO and ISRO, which successfully launched the Rohini satellite into space. Rohini satellite. Throughout the book, Kalam considers the value of endurance, creativity, and teamwork in overcoming obstacles. He talks about his experiences and the lessons he learned from working with his students, co-workers, and political figures. Kalam's involvement in India's nuclear weapons development grows as his career develops in his roles as the Prime Minister's chief technical advisor and later as President of India. President of India from 2002 to 2007, he offers insights into the political and technical factors that shaped India's nuclear policy. Kalam's vision for India's future, which emphasizes the value of education, the role of youth in nation building, and the pursuit of knowledge and creativity for societal development, comes to a close in the autobiography. Ultimately, Wings of Fire is a monument to Kalam's commitment to scientific inquiry, national advancement, and his dream of a prosperous and inclusive India, as well as a biography of his life. Its theme of tenacity, fortitude, and the power of dreams motivates readers. एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम की आत्मकथा विंग्स ऑफ फायर में उनके रामेश्वरम में शुरुआती वर्षों से लेकर भारत के 11वें राष्ट्रपति के रूप में सेवा करने तक के उनके जीवन का विवरण दिया गया है। रामेश्वरम में कलाम के जीवन के प्रारंभिक वर्ष, जहां उनके जन्म एक निम्न तमिल मुस्लिम घराने में हुआ था, आत्मकथा में शामिल है। कलाम के माता पिता ने अपने वित्तीय संघर्षों के बावजूद उनमें ईमानदारी, कड़ी मेहनत और विश्वास के मजबूत आदर्श स्थापित किए। कलाम विमानन के प्रति अपने जुनून और पायलट बनने की इच्छा के बारे में बात करते हैं। बहरहाल उन्होंने अपने परिवार की वित्तीय समस्याओं के कारण वैमानिक इंजीनियरिंग में अपना करियर बनाना चुना। शैक्षणिक सफलता प्राप्त करने के बाद वह भारतीय अंतरिक्ष अनुसंधान संगठन इसरो और फिर रक्षा अनुसंधान और विकास संगठन DRDO में शामिल हो गए। कहानी भारत की अंतरिक्ष अन्वेषण और मिसाइल विकास पहल में कलाम के योगदान का वर्णन करती है, विशेष रूप से देश के पहले उपग्रह प्रक्षेपण यान SLV-3 पर उनके महत्वपूर्ण काम का, जिसने रोहिणी उपग्रह को सफलतापूर्वक अंतरिक्ष में लॉन्च किया। पूरी किताब में कलाम बाधाओं पर काबू पाने में धैर्य, रचनात्मक और टीम वर्क के महत्व पर विचार करते हैं। वो अपने अनुभवों और छात्रों, सहकर्मियों और राजनीतिक हस्तियों के साथ काम करने से सीख गए सबक के बारे में बात करते हैं। जैसे जैसे उनका करियर विकसित हुआ, भारत के परमाणु हथियार विकास में कलाम की भागीदारी बढ़ती गई। प्रधानमंत्री के मुख्य तकनीकी सलाहकार और बाद में 2002 से 2007 तक भारत के राष्ट्रपति के रूप में अपनी भूमिकाओं में वह उन राजनीतिक और तकनीकी कारकों में अंतर्दृष्टि प्रदान करते हैं जिन्होंने भारत की परमाणु नीति को आकार दिया। भारत के भविष्य के लिए कलाम का दृष्टिकोण, जो शिक्षा के मूल्य, राष्ट्र निर्माण में युवाओं की भूमिका और सामाजिक विकास के लिए ज्ञान और रचनात्मक की खोज पर जोर देता है, इस आत्मकथा में समाप्त होता है। अंततः विंग्स ऑफ फायर कलाम की वैज्ञानिक जांच, राष्ट्रीय उन्नति और समृद्ध और समावेशी भारत के उनके सपने के प्रति प्रतिबद्धता के साथ साथ उनके जीवन की जीवनी का एक स्मारक है। इसका विषय है दृढ़ता, धैर्य और सपनों की शक्ति पाठकों को प्रेरित करती है। Discuss A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's early influences and upbringing in Rameshwaram. How did his family and surroundings shape his values and aspirations? Early influences and his Rameshwaram upbringing were significant factors in the development of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam ideals, goals, and accomplishment. Early influences and his Rameshwaram upbringing were significant factors. Upbringing were significant factors in the development of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam ideals, goals, and accomplishment. On October 15, 1913, Kalam was born in Rameshwaram. 1931, born in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu. Into a Tamil Muslim family belonging to the lower middle class. His mother Asyama was a homemaker, while his father Jainul Abdin was an imam at a nearby mosque and a boat owner. From a young age, Kalam was imbued with a spirit of humility and resilience through their impoverished lifestyle. Kalam's parents prioritized education despite their modest financial situation. Their children were inspired to strive for academic success and knowledge in order to better their lives and make a positive impact on society. Growing up in a home with a strong religious bent, Kalam internalized the virtues of compassion, religion, and helping others. He developed a strong moral compass and a sense of responsibility towards his community as a result of his father's work as an imam and his exposure to religious teachings. Kalam found a close knit community in the small island town of Rameshwaram, which is home to a large Hindu population. Kalam witnessed harmony and respect between individuals of different religions despite their disparities in religion, which shaped his inclusive vision and tolerance for variety. The oceanfront resort town of Rameswaram, which is home to numerous mosques, churches, and temples, is known for its natural beauty. For natural beauty, Rameswaram, natural beauty, which encouraged Kalam's love of the of the natural world and spirituality. Because of his peaceful childhood, he developed a strong feeling of connection to nature, which shaped his opinions on sustainable development. Kalam gained an appreciation for endurance and hard work from seeking his mother's steadfast support at home and his father's diligence as a boat owner. His approach to school, professional and aspirations was based on these beliefs. Kalam dreamed of flight and exploring from an early age. He became passionate about aviation and wanted to support India's aerospace efforts. After seeing birds soar in the sky and seeing the first airplanes, his scholarly endeavors in the field of aeronautical engineering were motivated by this goal. A sense of duty to his community was also ingrained in Kalam by his childhood in Rameswaram. He lived a life dedicated to applying his knowledge and experience to advance society, especially in the areas of education, educating and developing a scientific temperament in young people. To sum up, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's early inspirations and Rameswaram upbringing had a significant impact on his ideals, goals, and final career path as a well-known scientist and statesman. The peaceful surroundings of Rameswaram, his family emphasis on education, and his exposure to a wide range of religious and cultural influences all shaped him into a visionary leader dedicated to fusing scientific advancement with moral and spiritual principle for the benefit of society as a whole. APJ Abdul Kalam's upbringing and family were very important in forming his ideals goals, which helped him become a well-known scientist leader and visionary even with their limited resources. Jainulabdin and Asyamma, Kalam's parents, valued education highly. They pushed Kalam and his siblings to continue their education in order to advance individually and as members of the community. From young age, his concentration gave Kalam's a profound appreciation for information and academic excellence. Growing up in a lower middle class family, Kalam personally saw the commitment and efforts of his parents. Zainulabdin, Kalam's father, was an imam at a nearby of mosque and a boat owner. Kalam was deeply impacted by his father's unwavering devotion and hard work. Kalam learned the significance of tenacity and persistence in achieving his goals from this environment. Kalam was raised with a strong emphasis on honesty, humility, and integrity. Strong moral principles and a sense of social duty were ingrained in him by his parents' teachings and their own model behavior throughout his life. Kalam was guided by these principles, which also influenced his style of leadership and public service. The little island town of Rameshwaram, where Kalam was born and brought up, was a hive of diverse religious and cultural traditions. Rameshwaram, a town with a large Hindu population, welcomed diversity and saw churches, mosques, and temples coexisting in harmony. Kalam's expansive outlook and tolerance for ethnic variety were nurtured in this multicultural setting. Being surrounded by the water and the island tranquil natural beauty allowed Kalam to establish a strong spiritual and natural bond. His upbringing in such a peaceful settings inspired him to advocate for sustainable development and environmental conservation, since it gave him a sense of amazement and reverence for the natural world. Kalam was instilled with a sense of communal spirit and service to others by the close-knit community of Rameswaram. Regardless of social or religious background, he saw neighbors working together and supporting one another. This feeling of camaraderie among the community strengthened Kalam's convictions about the value of social cohesion and group advancement. From an early age, Kalam dreamed of flying and exploring the world, spurred on by the sight of birds soaring over the skies and the first airplanes he saw. His passion for space travel and aviation sparked his desire to support scientific study and aeronautical development in India. Kalam's upbringing imbued him with a profound sense of national obligation. His goals were not only personal, they were firmly anchored in a desire to further the advancement and development of India. His professional decisions to devotion to developing India's technological capabilities were influenced by this commitment. To sum up, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam upbringings and family had a significant impact on his morals, goals, and personality. The culturally and spiritually nourishing atmosphere of Rameswaram, along with his parents' emphasis on education, integrity, and tenacity, created the groundwork for Kalam's extraordinary path as a scientist, leader, and visionary. Kalam had a strong sense of duty, service, and commitment to using his knowledge and abilities for the benefit of society. As a result of the teachings and the Rameswaram community ethos, this led to the creation of an enduring legacy that continues to inspire future generations. Wings of Fire and other works by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam outlined his major priorities and plans for national development, which included a number of interrelated areas with the goal of making India a developed country. He used technology to advance both economic development and national security. In vital fields including nuclear energy, space technology, and defense, Kalam promoted national research and development. In order to enhance technological capabilities, he even encouraged international cooperation and public-private partnership, putting money into research institutes and building an environment that encourages entrepreneurship and creativity work to bring about change. Kalam concentrated on enhancing young youth's skill and access to high quality education. His main goal was to change the educational system so that prioritizes it prioritizes ethical ideals, creative expression, and holistic developments. In order to support lifelong learning and better meet industry demands, Kalam improved vocational training programs by increasing rural and impoverished programs, improvised communities by increasing rural and impoverished communities access to technology and educational resources. He helped close the digital divide. He reduced the digital divide in rural India. Kalam promoted fair development and an improvement in the standard of living. Implement integrated programs for rural development that prioritize infrastructure, agriculture, sanitation, and healthcare. Encourage sustainable development strategies and give local communities more influence by developing their capacity and implementing particular participatory governance. Create a link between the urban and rural areas and provide access to necessities. APJ Abdul Kalam's vision of an independent, inclusive, and technological sophisticated India served as the foundation for his national development initiatives. In order to create sustainable program and prosperity for all Indians, his leadership placed a strong emphasis on the value of innovation, ethical governance, and strategic planning. Policy and initiative aiming at tackling modern issues and realizing India's potential as a global superpower in the 21st century are still influenced by Kalam's holistic approach. Describe APJ Abdul Kalam's contribution to Indian missile development and space exploration programs, highlighting key projects such as satellite launch vehicle SLV-3 and Agni missile series. What challenges did he face and how did he overcome them? The adventures of Missile Man. Missile Man. APJ Abdul Kalam bear witness to his technical acumen, imaginative leadership, commitment to developing India's missile capabilities. On 15th October 1931, APJ Abdul Kalam was born in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu. In 1958, he received his degree in aerospace engineering from Madras Institute of Technology. In 1958, received degree in aerospace engineering from Madras Institute of Technology, MIT. In 1950, Kalam started working at the Defense Research and then worked in 1958 in DRDO, Defense Research Development Organization, and ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, to work on his country's fledgling space program. Kalam's expedition as missile man served as an inspiration to numerous scientists, engineers, and national security officers. National security officers of India, inspired by him. India's defense research and development endeavors and are still shaped by his creative leadership and commitment to the technical progress. APJ Abdul Kalam was instrumental in developing India's capability in these vital areas by making major contributions to the country's space exploration and missile development projects. This is a summary of this accomplishment with an emphasis on significant initiatives like the Agni missile series and the satellite launch vehicle SLV, as well as the difficulties encountered and how he overcome them. Contributions to missile development, integrated guided missile development program, IGMDP, integrated guided missile development program, which was started in the 1980s by APJ Abdul Kalam. In order to address India's defense requirements, the IGMDP set out to create a wide range of missiles, including anti-tank, tactical, and strategic weapons. Prithvi missile. Prithvi missile, India's first domestically produced surface-to-surface ballistic missile. The Prithvi was developed in large part because of Kalam's technological difficulties with propulsion, guidance, and navigation system. Beset the Prithvi missile project. Overcoming these obstacles was made possible in large part by Kalam's leadership and proficiency in missile technologies. But in start, it was developed in large part because of Kalam technological difficulties with propulsion, guidance, and navigation systems. Beset the Prithvi missile. Overcoming this obstacle was made possible in large part by Kalam leadership. And proficiency in missile technologies. Agni missile. Agni missile series. The development of the Agni missile series, which are long-range surface-to-surface, long-range surface-to-surface, S2S, surface-to-surface ballistic missile. Ballistic missiles was one of the Kalam's most important accomplishments. The strategic deterrence capabilities of India have been considerably enhanced by the Agni missiles, which are equipped to deliver nuclear warheads. The development of precise long-range guidance system, propulsion technology, and operational reliability were among the difficulties. By using incremental improvement through testing, Kalam's team was able to overcome these obstacles. Contribution to space exploration, SLV, and then SLV, satellite launch vehicle. The team that created SLV-3 India's first satellite vehicle. SLV was directed by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. In 1980, India successfully entered the space launch vehicle industry with the successful launch of the Rohini satellite. Into orbit via SLV-3. Developing dependable liquid and solid propulsion system, exact guidance and control systems, and in assuring mission success with constrained resources were among the challenges. It took Kalam's creative thinking and problem-solving abilities to get over these obstacles. Role in ISRO. During his tenure at the Indian Space Research Organization, Kalam led the way in developing launch vehicle and forecasting, remote sensing, and communication. He pushed for its inclusion in national development projects. The development of propulsion systems, guiding technologies, and maintaining reliability under operational conditions were among the major technological issues associated with the creation of missiles and launch vehicles. Kalam's proficiency in aircraft engineering and his inventive problem-solving skills were vital in surmounting this obstacle. India has to deal with resource limits such as budgetary restrictions and international bans on the transfer of technology because to Kalam emphasis on independence and home growth development, strong space and missile programs built on homegrown capabilities have been successfully established. India's nuclear and missile capabilities were under worldwide scrutiny and faced geopolitical pressure. Faced geopolitical pressure. While focusing on developing India's strategic defense capabilities and space exploration goals, Kalam skillfully managed these difficulties. Kalam skillfully managed these difficulties. Is from a diplomatic position. An enduring legacy has been left by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's contributions to India's space exploration and missile development programs. His scientific prowess, imaginative leadership, and dedication to both national security and technological progress. National security and technological progress made India a powerful force in space exploration and missile technology. Made India powerful force in space exploration and missile technology. Powerful force in missile technology. Scientists, engineers, and officials in India and abroad are still motivated by Kalam's strategy of overcoming obstacles by creativity, tenacity, and strategic planning. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's technological acumen, strategic planning skills, and visionary leadership were essential in influencing the direction of missile technology in India. In India and throughout the world, scientists, engineers, and military people are still motivated. The world, scientists and engineers, military people are still motivated by still motivated by Kalam's legacy. As the missile man, his focus on domestic growth and technology, the significance of scientific innovation, strategic insight, and superior defense technology was highlighted by Kalam's leadership. His forward-thinking strategy set the course for missile technology in India and enabled enabled them further improvement enabled further improvement in defense capabilities. The future of missile technology in India was significantly shaped by the strategic activity objectives objectives, technological innovations, and visionary leadership of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam. His achievement on as the missile man have led a significant and long-lasting influence on India's technological prowess, military industry, and national security, motivating future generations to pursue excellence and independence in the field of defense technology. The future of India that A.P.J. Abdul Kalam outlined in Wings of Fire demonstrates his unwavering commitment to advancing science and technology, education, and societal development. In order to make uh, India a developed country, Kalam underlined how important innovation and technology are to India's development. In his ideal future, India would use its scientific progress to become self-sufficient in vital fields like information technology, defense, and space technology. His support of programs like missile development and nuclear capability demonstrated by his conviction that technological superiority should be used to advance both advance national security and the economy, technology, information. The ability of education to improve lives was fundamental to Kalam's vision, and he underlined the need of having a strong educational system that not only transfers technical information to students but also encourages entrepreneurship, creativity, and moral principles in them. Kalam thought that putting money into education and skill development would enable India's enormous human resource base to spur innovations and make a meaningful contribution to the country's progress. In Kalam's vision of a socially inclusive India, all societal segments, including neglected people and rural areas, benefit from growth. In an effort to reduce the gap between urban and rural area India, he promoted programs to enhance basic infrastructure, healthcare, and sanitation. His vision included social justice, sustainable development, and women's empowerment as the cornerstones of a just and peaceful society. Vision 2020 was the bold program that Kalam presented with the goal of making India a developed country by 2020. This vision includes precise goals for social empowerment, infrastructure development, economic growth, and technological innovation. Kalam showed his strategic insight and dedication to the advancement of the country by taking the lead in establishing specific objectives and directing national resources toward their accomplishment. Beyond national goals, Kalam saw India becoming a major player in the world arena as a pioneer in innovation, technology, and sustainable development. He promoted international cooperation in global governance, science and technology, and diplomacy to address issues like poverty reduction, healthcare inequities, and climate change. Generations of Indians have been motivated to strive for excellence and make contribution to the country's growth by Kalam's vision for India's future. His focus on patriotism, commitment to public services, and moral leadership act as a light of hope for leaders and young people alike, like helping to shape a better future for India. Wings of Fire presented A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's vision of inclusive growth, optimism, and innovation as the cornerstone of India's future. His all-encompassing strategy included global included leadership. Strategy included global leadership, education, technology, innovation, and societal change with the goal of making India an affluent and well-respected country in the 21st century. In order to achieve equal progress and sustainable growth for all, Indian policies and activities are shaped by Kalam's vision, which is still applicable today. What is the significance? What is the significance of the title? What is the significance of the title Wings of Fire in Kalam's life and journey? Wings of Fire is a metaphor for Kalam's lofty goals and aspirations. Kalam had lofty aspirations since he was a small child, both physically as a pilot and figuratively as a scientist and leader. Fire is a sign for order, willpower, and fortitude. Kalam had many obstacles and disappointments in his life, yet he never allowed them break his spirit. Rather than letting them stop him, he turned them into motivation to keep going, conquering challenges and reaching his objectives. The title captures Kalam's unwavering quest for greatness and knowledge. He had a strong desire to learn new things and broaden his horizons. in both scientific study and social science comprehension. He never allowed obstacles, obstacles and disappointments, disappointments of his life to break his spirit. His inner fire propelled him to continuously invent and make contribution to progress of science and technology. His inner fire propelled his inner fire propelled him to continuously invent and make contributions to the progress of propelled him to continuously invent and contribute to science and technology. Others are inspired by wings of fire to have great dreams and pursue their passions with tenacity and determination. Kalam's life story serves as an example of how perseverance, morality, and optimist outlook can overcome adversity. As a leader, Kalam inspired millions of young Indians by telling them that they could succeed in life and that creativity and education had great power. His charismatic, visionary, and transformational leadership style, which has inspired generations of people, is embodied in the title Wings of Fire. In essence, the life journey of A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, a voyage driven by knowledge, passion, and the desire to achieve greatness for both himself and his country. It is a symbol of his unwavering will, commitment to serving others, and legacy as a visionary leader who trusted in the transformational potential of aspirations and willpower. Discuss Kalam's view on education and its role in shaping the future of India. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's opinions on education were firmly based on the conviction that education should promote character development and holistic growth in addition to knowledge acquisition. According to Kalam, education gives people value. The value, information, and the abilities they need to achieve in life. The underlined how crucial He underlined how crucial education is for developing self-assurance and helping people reach their greatness potential. He emphasized how education helps kids develop their inventiveness and originality in order to foster an entrepreneurial entrepreneurial attitude. He supported curricula that emphasizes critical thinking, problem-solving techniques, and practical learning opportunities. He emphasized critical thinking, problem solving techniques, and practical learning opportunities. According to Kalam, the goals of education should include developing moral principles and character, in addition to academic brilliance. In order to develop people who are not only competent professionals but also responsible citizens, he underlined the need of integrity, compassion, and social responsibility in education. Need of integrity, integrity, compassion, and social ability in education. Being a scientist, he underlined how crucial it is to incorporate science and technology into classroom. Plus, in order to promote creativity and inquiry. Crucial to incorporate science and technology. He promoted teaching students to have a scientific temperament in order to address problems in the real world and boost India's technological development. He promoted equitable access to high quality education for all people with high on and underprivileged groups and rural areas in order to guarantee equal educational opportunities for everyone. He backed programs to enhance curriculum development, teacher preparation, and infrastructure. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam had held broad and progressive views on education, highlighting its capacity to change people as well as society and the country. His support of education as a driver of individual development, social advancement, and national advancement continues to motivate educational reforms and programs meant to fulfill India's potential as a worldwide leader in the 21st century. Discuss Kalam's career at DRDO, Defense Research Development Organization, and his contribution to missile development. His contributions. Early in his career, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam worked for the Defense DRDO, where he developed his scientific, technological skills with the goal of strengthening India's defense capabilities. Goal of strengthening India's defense capabilities, especially in the area of missile, especially in the area of missile development. After graduating from Madras Institute of Technology MIT with a degree in aerospace engineering, A.P.J. Abdul Kalam joined DRDO in 1958. Kalam, after completing graduation from MIT, Madras Institute of Technology, with degree in aerospace engineering. He joined DRDO in 1958. He began his career in Hyderabad at the Defense Research and Development Laboratory (DRDL) of DRDO, Defense Research Development Laboratory of DRDO. Development Laboratory of DRDO, where he worked on a number of missile system related projects. Kalam made a name for himself as a brilliant scientist with a knowledge of missile technology and aerospace engineering very rapidly. His early work included developing guidance system, propulsion technology, and aerodynamics, all of which were essential for missile projects. India's Integrated Guided Missile Development Program (IGMDP), which was started in the early 1980s, in 1980s, was spearheaded by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam, and the IGMDP sought to become self-sufficient in the development of a range of missiles, including tactical, anti-tank, and strategic missiles for various defense applications. In order to guarantee the functionality and dependability of India's missile system, DRDO put strict testing and validation procedures into place under Kalam's direction. India's increasing technological proficiency in missile development was evidenced by the successful test flights of missiles such as Prithvi and Agni early in his tenure at DRDO. A.P.J. Abdul Kalam made groundbreaking contributions to missile technology that would later yield significant advances under the IGMDP. India's national security was greatly enhanced by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's achievements, which included the provision of indigenous missile capabilities to fend off both conventional and nuclear threat. In addition to bolstering India's defense capabilities, his achievements set the stage for upcoming advancements in aerospace and defense technologies. The fact that Kalam is still remembered as the Missile Man of India speaks something about his dedication to both scientific advancement and societal programs. What does the wings of symbolize in A.P.J. Abdul Kalam's life? His aspirants to become pilot. Rameshwaram. He grew up in Rameshwaram. His early mission as a child was to become a scientist. What was the name of the rocket developed by Kalam's team at DRDO? Prithvi. Which was the integrated IGMDP? What is Kalam role in India's space program? He led the defense. He led the development of India's first indigenous satellite launch vehicle, SLV-3. Enforcement, education reform. Name the writer who co-authored the books of Arun Tiwari. Arun Tiwari was a visionary pioneer space research in India. With Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Kalam's shadow expansion influence in shaping his personality. Rameswaram, and he saw flying birds, flying birds, inspired by flying birds, and love nature, spirituality. His parents' hard work and financial problems, dedication of his parents. Thank you everyone. Meet you in the next class. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Meet you in the next class on the rule of the road by A.J. Cardinal.